I got two guys that were putting up money for the film, 500,000 each, and the other one of them is he's such an obvious. He wants to buy into the film so that he can get one of the girls as being his partner, his mate, as it were. As if one of these girls that I select is going to have anything to do with the guy. So I had to spell it out to the guy. He says, no, there's no way. First of all, you're going to fool around with any of the women. If you want to put up some money, that's fine. But don't expect that to go along as the deal. You're getting a percentage of the picture. And so I had to spell it all out. He says, well, will you help me find the girl out? I'll introduce you to some girls, and you're going to have to take care of them. And I said, well, how do you mean take care of them? It's so naive. I said, well, could I suggest offering him a lot of money? Things like that, And all of a sudden, these guys would think, you mean that I would make a prostitute out of that girl? Well, why in the hell would this girl want to put out for you, for Christ's sake? I have to tell all these people that. So we'll see. And this is a touch there on the part of Haji, like she had the cunt hair in her mouth. She puts it in, pulls that hair out of her mouth. Fucking crazy. It was a pubic hair, sorry, not cunt hair. Had a problem with Tura. She made it clear to me that she says, I know you got a policy about no one getting laid.
The question is, what are you doing here?
I said, yeah, I got that policy. I was kind of choking on my own bile, but they didn't know it. She said, well, I tell you, I got to have a dick. I can't work good. I knew she had me by the balls, and I asked her, I said, well, what do you got in mind? Who?
We were running a little hot, so we thought we'd take on a little water.
Assistant cameraman, he looked strong. That's when I said, well, that guy's got to move that 1,000-pound camera around. I've got to make it clear to you that just one time a night. That's it. I said, okay, you got a deal. Here the guy was like being sold down the river. Not that it was a painful thing, but the assistant cameraman went for it. Years later, we had a reunion, and I brought it up. I said, strangely, the two of them were kind of hostile. And after many years, I said, is it true? I said to Gil Hameson was his name. I said, is it true that you were supposed to only have sex with Miss Satana once a night? He said, hell no, she wanted it all night.
Help yourself.
And then Haji got in with the other boy. So see, one begets another. So, and you have problems about getting people up in the morning, see? And he and Haji they clambered together in bed at night. So we didn't have any trouble with them. They didn't want to spend the whole night in the sack. She took the cameraman out and fucked him dry for about 20 minutes and made him go to sleep. In fact, she sent him out to the other room he had. That was it. Talk about using a man. It's good. Yeah. But there were times when another wife would interfere. And I remember one time that when Edie Williams and I were married, and then Edie was pregnant. And Eve got a big layout in the LA Times. It wasn't all that flattering, but anyway, it was a lot of publicity. And with Edie was one who always thought in terms of publicity all the time. That's going to make it. I don't need to know anything. I don't have to be an actress. All I need is publicity and my beautiful body and so on. But when she saw that piece in the paper, she ran around the pool and slipped and fell, and she lost the baby. And I was working down at Fox on 7 Minutes, editing it, and police came down. When you're a director or a producer or something, there's always some policeman that's assigned to you. Found that out. So she lost the kid. It's a shame. I wish I hadn't lost the kid. People would say, well, look at you, had to stay married. Fuck no, I don't have to stay married. If I'm making a lot of money, you always get somebody else. You get a guy, somehow I'll hire a hood or whatever it is going to watch the kid, My attitude was that way. All that business about you got to be married and substantial and carry. It always ended up with either an abortion or something of that nature. Although I have one son who's 26 now, and his mother, a great lady, very strongly entrenched in that in the book. I used to call her Miss Mattress because that was her whole thing. She was always on a mattress. Yeah, she's still around, but still wants to whack away at it. But she's a little older now. It's typical of a man who's had the best of her and then walks away. But we have that friendship, and she had me go over and look at the boy. He looks just like my mother. It's good. She's got a problem with Pandora Peaks. Pandora once offered me some pussy, and I was not involved with her and so on. And I told her about it. She just mentioned Pandora Peaks. She hits the ceiling like I'm out there trying to get some of that pussy. You know, you just get my pussy. That's all you need. You get all you'll ever need. I like a woman with that kind of attitude. That humpback pussy of mine's hungry, and it's an open maw for your dick. I like that open maw. Marlon Brando lived across from us, and he had those two sons. They'd come over and see her, and they kept trying to feel her box. She says, "You come back when you're older, and then I'll let you feel my box," you know. Yeah, right across the street from Brando. You know what she said about my mother? "I don't want your mother around there. She's a cripple." Boy, that gets your attention, huh? Yeah, so that's not a good big mark for Edie Williams, as far as I'm concerned, you know. But my mother never heard it, so. But Edie was a great lady. She, in so many ways, constantly provoking one's dick. She was always after it. The bellman came out and took our luggage and went upstairs. And so she says to the bellman, she never wore any pants, and she says, you want a tip, or do you want to look at my pussy?" This guy dropped the luggage.
So,
That's a good one, huh? So he said, "I'll take a good look," and he's looking at me like, I said, "Okay." So we go in there, and she throws herself on the bed and just opens that thing nice and wide. And he brought in the bag. I can imagine his dialogue when he got back there with his buddies. Didn't make much money tonight, but I sure had an eyeful, I tell you, you know. Yeah. So Edie was just wearing a dress, nothing else. So we go out in the lobby, and all of a sudden this mob hits her, and they start rending her dress. And she's squealing and laughing, and it's wonderful, you know. Then there was about 4 or 5 doormen, and they was able to lift her up and carry her through and take her out to the limo. So we got in the limo, and she was so excited. She was wet and just really like, wow, everybody loves me. I can tell it, you know, and so on. So I get in the car in the back, and she says, "You ever get laid in a limo?" I said, "No, I don't recall." So I guess it might be kind of a record. Anybody that ever got laid in Manhattan in a limo, but driving through. I said, "Well, I don't know, okay." So she says, "Tell the guy to run up that window, and there's a curtain, pull it down." The more I experienced this, the more excited I got. So damn if we didn't fuck the whole trip in the back seat. And when the doorman opened the door, same guy. He says, "Here's a door open." I'm pulling out of her. So, that's right. It was the Amsterdam or something. So that was Edie. You can't find a lot of fault with a woman like that, you know.